Welcome to WinterFest, the music and arts festival where we're banishing the winter blues. Proceeds from the festival go to the WinterFest Wellbeing Fund, supporting local people and Mid- and Northeast Essex Mind. Featuring 22 events, check our website, Brightlingsea WinterFest.co.uk for full details. And please, make a donation via our PayPal link.
WinterFest, tell everyone.
We sing for you.
Hello, and welcome to the Brightlingsea WinterFest Wivenhoe Funny Farm Comedy Night. If you're there and watching, please press your emojis, do lots of comments, show us some love, and please let me feel that I'm not just talking to my computer. Welcome to the WinterFest Comedy Night, the most fun you can have on a Saturday in lockdown without the pub, without reliving that pub experience by drinking flat lager and phoning up your local bigot. My name is Hazel. I am your hostess for this early evening of comedy, and I like to think that's because out of all the MCs in Essex, I am the freaking cheapest. Literally, as you can see, every expense has been spared here, down to the backdrop. We even made my own sign. My boyfriend thought it said WienerFest, which sounded quite exciting, and here's my house too. I've realised now that my vacuum cleaner is in the corner looking like a sex device, so that is lovely. I am going to introduce 5 fantastic comedians to you tonight. 3 of them are absolutely live with you, and 2 of them have recorded exclusive comedy videos for you at the WinterFest video site. So please, they've given your time up to entertain you lot and raise a smile. So there is a PayPal, I believe, on the live video. So if you can donate a few quid, every little helps. It all goes to mind and local mental health support. And let's face it, we all need a bit of that in these dark days. So, and also kind of please give us as much love as possible. And if you do put any comments in, our technical wizard, Jevon, big up for Jevon, lots of love. He's actually running the show on Zoom with all the acts here at the moment, and he'll send us your messages and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So please do engage with us. And this is so weird. It is so weird. This time last year, I was literally in the Rosebud pub in Brightlingsea doing this same gig at the annual event, and I was holding a bottle of Corona for a bit of a laugh. That's fucking aged well, hasn't it? So, and I'm so nervous about doing this show online because they say when you're nervous, you have to imagine that your audience is naked. But of course, you probably are all naked, or if you're in Brightlingsea wearing gimp suits, I guess. So a bit of housekeeping here. Normally at this stage in a comedy show I say don't talk loudly over the acts, but let's face it, we can't hear you, so maybe write in capitals if you want to heckle. And if there are any parents watching with their children, I'd like to think of this show as a PG, so that is profanity and genitalia may be involved at certain points. There will be the odd swear word, but I have asked the comedians not to overuse the C-bomb, the worst bomb you can possibly drop. I mean, in the good old days, we just had A-bomb, arse, I imagine, and H-bomb, which I have no idea what H-bomb is, so please, if you can comment and tell me what H-bomb might represent, then that might be helpful. We can come back to you later. So some of you may have spotted that I'm not from round these parts. I grew up in Liverpool, but I left because I got so fed up with the way that Scouse women were stereotyped as being perma-tanned bimbos. So I moved to Essex. And I live in Wivenhoe, which, like Brightlingsea, is a lovely little town, except if you look at our local Facebook community group, when you think that it basically consists of potholes and dog shit and people complaining about them, and complaining to the council. And if the council were any good, then they would scoop up the dog shit and put it into the potholes. Job done. Brilliant. So, so stressed before this gig. Basically, yesterday, my internet went down completely. So I went onto my phone to do this, like an online chat on there, and borrowed my neighbour's Wi-Fi for a bit. And they said the online chat isn't working. Please call our helpline. So I called the helpline up, and they said there was no one available to talk to you. So please go on the online chat. My internet provider is TalkTalk, more like mime. at the moment. So I'm only here today because my neighbour, very trustingly, has actually given me a cable from his house to plug into my computer. And Scouse woman stealing my neighbour's Wi-Fi comes quite naturally to me. You know how down in Essex people put lights on their Christmas trees outside in their garden, and basically it's connected via a wire to the mains. Well, in Liverpool, they don't do that, because if you did that in Liverpool, within 60 seconds, it would be powering 6 Xboxes and an 80-inch plasma screen. So that's why we don't do it, I think. Have we got any love, any emojis? Is anybody out there? I am watching here. I'm looking here to see if there's any comments from the audience, and all I've got is I've muted Mike, so that's nice to know. Sorry about that, Mike. So we've got our first act coming up in a second, and the last time I saw this act was in a gig I was running in a pub car park in September, or as we like to think of it, the good old days. He actually got heckled by a Mondeo, I think, during that. He is one of my favourite acts. So please, in lieu of clapping, please stop pressing your mojos, and please give it up for the fantastic Ben Harrington!
Yeah! Thanks, Hazel. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. It's not, I say it's nice to be here. I'm at home, innit I, for God's sake. But it's nice to be here in as much as it's nice to be talking to you guys. I don't look good on a webcam, though, do I? Let's be honest. I look like Wayne Rooney has had a baby with Mr. Potato Head. That's how bad things are. I looked at my phone this morning, right? And my phone said, no face detected. It's not like, we don't think, it was like, that's not a face. It's awful. Lockdown's been weird for everyone, isn't it? But it's been particularly bad for me and my body. I'm sort of getting more and more decrepit as time, like Hazel was just on about them being heckled by I've got 3 kids, and they say when you have kids, your body changes, don't they? They normally mean the mum, to be fair. But with me, it's like my wife's body's changed, but it's kind of matured like a fine wine, like a sort of classic Ferrari, if you will. I'm like a 12-year-old Mondeo. You know what I mean? It's like the roof's gone, the wiring's all over the place. The exhaust is an absolute bloody shambles, let me tell you. It's just awful. It's like when I was in my early 20s, right? If I wanted to go out of an evening, right, I'd have a shout, I'd be out that door. Not that door, that's the door where we keep the towels. Do you like the backdrop, by the way? These are the exact curtains that were used at Bruce Forsyth's cremation. That's there we are. Yeah. Honestly, you think my ears are big enough to be able to hold these? But yeah, my body's like, I find now when I come out of the shower, my face is so dry. I'm not wondering, I have to moisturize it for about 20 minutes. It's like someone has Botoxed a tortoise. That's what it feels. It's like someone has sandblasted Amanda Holden. That's how bad it is. I've got ages trying to rub cream into to try and might as well dip my head in a bucket of E45. That's how bad it is. It's just awful. It's constantly. It's like last Christmas, I got one chapped eyelid. How do you get one chapped eyelid? It's not like I'm sticking one eyelid out the car window, is it? It's one chapped. It's ridiculous. One chap. There used to be a band actually along to the John Peel show. One chapped eyelid. For those of you who know anything about music, all the very best. And then this takes ages to get moist. My body takes ages to dry because I'm really hairy. Can't really see what. Oh, look at that hair there, bit of chest hair there, just something for the mums. I come out of the shower, I can use 2 or 3 towels just trying to get myself dry. I'm not dancing. 2 or 3 towels. Sometimes I work up such a sweat drying myself, I have to go back in the bloody shower, for Christ's sake. I've been there for 2 hours just going back and forth. It's absolutely horrendous. Like when kids go to a trampoline park and you can put on a Velcro suit and stick to the wall. I can do that in just my pants. That's it. I mean, it ruined my son's birthday party, but to be fair, it made the point, didn't it? It was that sort of, It's so weird not having any laughter. I mean, I am used to that in a live environment, but a couple of years ago when holidays were a thing, if I get ready for holidays, like to get beach body ready for me, that's what beach body ready is for me. Otherwise, the kids have to put the sun cream on with a knit comb. That's how bad it can be. But I remember going on holiday a couple of years ago, and I'm walking down the beach, and I hear this kid say, "Mummy, why is that man wearing a jumper?" So it's not a jumper, darling. He's got an affliction. But isn't it lovely that he's brought his kids on holiday and clearly doesn't care what he looks like? When I'm on holiday, that's how bad it is. The other thing that's really worried me is that I'm beginning. I actually see. I'm going to turn my laptop a little. Look at that. I'm just beginning to put on a bit of. It's like the second trimester. It's awful. Be putting on weight. I'm getting to a point now where I'm worried I'm not going to be able to see my own genitals when I look down. I mean, that's how it's already the case that when I look down in the bath, it looks like one of the three little pigs coming over a humpback bridge. That's how bad it's got. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's awful. Wow. My feet have been I've got athlete foot in between the toes and then dried, cracked heels. That's how bad it's got. I have to have an evening rub my feet with a pumice stone. It's like taking an inch off the door before I get to bed. That's how bad it's become. Sorry, this is. If you think this is annoying, you trying to keep it in your head. I came in from the bathroom the other day, and my wife said, "Have you tied it up in there?" So what do you mean, you dirty bastard? Go back in there. I went back. There's a little pile of white powder. I thought, oh, if I still worked in London, that'd be worth a fortune, wouldn't it? Eh? It's just, probably the worst thing that happened over lockdown was I got hemorrhoids. Give me a cheer if you've. I wouldn't be able to hear you anyway, but someone has said to me in my 20s, Ben, enjoy your 20s and your 30s, because by the time you get to your 40s, you're gonna have to stick your finger up your bum. Anusol is my cream of choice. That's the one I've gone for. That's the one that some people go for germaloids. I mean, it's like Coke, Pepsi. You make a decision, don't you? I've always gone down. Very calming. It's very, very calming. I'm not joking. You could stop a prison riot with it. How did you get them off the roof? Well, we just sprayed them with anusol. Fucking now it's driving me absolutely mad. That's how it is. It's ridiculous. But it didn't work, right? It didn't work. I wasn't able to solve the problem. So I had to have a virtual doctor's appointment. This is the thing, a virtual doctor's. My biggest concern was, how am I going to get my arse up to the webcam? That was the biggest thing. I had books. I was stuck. In the end, I just got my laptop and popped it on the floor and crouched over it. Yeah, that was the thing. Turns out they didn't want to see it. Who knew, eh? The thing that probably upset me the most was that it unlocked the facial recognition on my laptop. That's what really upset me. It's just, So basically, the doctor said, what you need to do is you need to use some suppositories, right? All right, I said, okay. So you pop them up every evening. I thought, at this rate, I'll be able to go up at 7 o'clock. I'm never going to see the one show again. That's how bad it's. The word pop is not a word I would associate with suppositories, if I'm honest. It's you have to negotiate with your arsehole if ever you've done it. It's like an Iranian border crossing. Thou shalt not pass. It's just absolutely. The first time you do it, right, you sort of crouch on that, and you realise your arsehole is not where you think it is. It isn't. It's sort of halfway up. Yeah, you're halfway up your leg, you're down. I found a set of keys when I was there. But you're halfway up your right. It's just horrendous. Not where you. And then the other thing you realise when you first do it is taking out the foil. That was an interesting night. But it won't go up. You have to negotiate with that part of you, and then you keep doing it, and then all of a sudden, whoop, it disappears. It like goes from being Checkpoint Charlie to the Paul Daniels magic show. That's what it's like. I'm not joking. My wife said she'd always known I'd done it because she could hear me shout out, "Now that's magic." from the bathroom. Now, for the younger ones amongst you, you Google it and laugh retrospectively, because that's. So I then had to go for a real doctor's appointment, and they're weird in lockdown. I go into the doctors. I've got my mask on and everything. I go in there and I'm lying on the couch whilst the doctor examines me. And after a minute or two, she said, "I'm just going to go and seek a second opinion. It is another doctor." I thought, well, flipping know that, though. You're not going to go and ask Darren cutting the grass outside, are you? "Come here, Darren. What do you think of that?" "Well, he's not Beachbody ready for a start. Let me get my strimmer." Anyway, so she went out. I dozed off. I've got 3 kids. Any opportunity to sleep, I'm going to take it. I dozed off. It was absolutely awful. I was awoken by a knock at the door. I thought, like, you know that bit when you wake up and there's that bit between consciousness and sleep and you're not quite sure. I was lying there with my bum out with a mask on. I thought, God, it's like being back at Sunday school. It wasn't that at all. I thought, who was that at the door? I thought, if it's the doctor, why is she knocking on her own door? Do you know what I mean? That's a bit weird. I thought, if it isn't her and it's the receptionist bringing in some sandwiches, this could be quite luckily it was her. I came in, they had a look at an examination. And after about 5 minutes, the other doctor said, "Well, we're done now. I'm going to go now, Ben, but it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you." I thought, bloody hell, mate, how bad is your life? I mean, I know lockdown's been bad, but this is it. Look, I think I've done 10 minutes. I think given we're online and let's be honest, I don't know if you're finding it funny or not. I think it was great. I've had a great time. But you've been lovely. I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Keep supporting live comedy. I'll see you very soon. Good night. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ben Harrington. Fantastic stuff. And yes, do keep on supporting us and watching us. And do donate to the PayPal as well. We've had some comments in regarding the H-bomb. One suggestion from Daryl in Wivenhoe, the Hazel bomb. I've also thought, given Ben's set, that it could be the hemorrhoids bomb. We've also had another comment, which was simply boring. And that was from Jack Dunt, which I can only presume is rhyming slang of some sort. But I have been working from home for the past year, and I am now starting to appreciate just how hard it must be for people who work from home all the time. I mean, there's so much to do. You get up first thing in the morning, you have to decide what to wear over your pajamas, blouse or cardi. It's such a conundrum, isn't it? And it's so easy to get distracted. Yesterday, I was like, well, do I complete this essential report, or do I spend 5 hours on Twitter arguing over what gender Mr. Potato Head is? Because people have collectively lost their shit because Hasbro have taken the Mr. away from Potato Head. So the anti-woke brigade, or C-bombs as I like to call them, are doing their collective nut. It's all got a bit in the heat of the night. They call him Mr. Potato Head. But I actually think it's quite nice that Hasbro have recognised that potato heads are the first truly gender fluid toy, in that they can be Mr. or Mrs. They can be just a potato. Pronouns they, their, chip or dauphinois. And too many vegetables have gender specific names. We need to stamp this out. We've got chickpeas, broad beans, broccoli. But I do think just calling them the potato heads, it is a little bit, it sounds like one of those really shit horror films, perhaps starring the Mitchell brothers. So we are ready for our next fabulous act. I'm racing through here. So she is another local lady. She's from Wivenhoe. So I'd like to start the clapping, the emojis. Give it up for the fabulous Jo Fletcher Cross.
Hello, Brightlingsea. Wow. Yeah, Hazel is correct. I'm also quite local. I know I don't sound it. I actually live round the corner from Hazel. In fact, I live so close to Hazel that I probably could have shouted my set out the window. We could have saved on an internet connection. That would have been quite good. That appeals to my traditionally mean Scottish sensibilities. I like that. But, you know, here I am. I've treated myself to my own Wi-Fi connection, so I'm here for you. It's so weird, this, isn't it weird? I think, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, 2021 sounded so cool, didn't it? It sounded really futuristic. 2021, there'll be robots, there'll be flying cars. I had no idea that my part in this magical future would involve a video link from Wivenhoe to Brightlingsea. Yeah, so here we go. Wow, we are truly living in amazing times. That's it. Imagine explaining this to your younger self, right? You'd be like, yes, in this magical future, you'll be telling jokes to people who live less than 5 miles away from you. But you can't let them breathe on you or game over. I hope you're okay, Brightlingsea. I do miss you. I'm kind of okay. I am stuck at home with my 10-year-old daughter, which is okay. And she doesn't really mind the lockdown because she gets a lot of extra time online, which she loves. She just lives in a virtual world anyway. She's more equipped for it than I am. And now there's no possibility that her mum's going to come in and drag her off to some improving exhibition about suffragettes or whatever I've decided she has to know about now. So she just builds her own universes. She's on Minecraft all the time. If you've got a kid who likes games or you like games yourself, you'll know what Minecraft is. But if you don't, it's a game where you can construct anything at all, but it's like blocks, it's like Lego, so it's like the world's been reimagined by a Mondrian or something. It's all and I just read this really cool news story this afternoon, and it was about how they've built the cairngorms in Scotland in Minecraft so young people can understand how to run a national park. That's really cool, isn't it? What a great idea. And I think what they're going to do next is that they're going to build the circle test and trace system in Minecraft so that Dido Harding can understand how to run a national company. Yeah, what an amazing idea. What a magical future. News stories are weird, I think, in lockdown as well, aren't they? I mean, it's either all we're all going to die or we've all already died, or here's a strange story to try and cheer you up. Everything's so weird. So it's like Minecraft, Cairngorm's death. I read one in the summer last year that I really loved. It's really stuck with me. And it was really about how people were getting out into the countryside and they weren't used to it. So they didn't really know how to behave. So they were basically shitting on the beach. And everyone was like, please don't shit on the beach. And there was a lot of talk about how we could get that messaging across, you know, please don't shit on the beach. And there was a story from not that far from here, so from Norfolk, which, I mean, might as well be the moon at the moment, but Norfolk, yeah, I mean, it is like the moon, isn't it? Desolate. No, yes. So they were at Holcombe Beach, and which is owned by Holcombe Hall, and the people who run the beach said we've had real problems here. People going to the toilet on the beach, they're burning fires, they're leaving rubbish, but also there's loads of seals down there. It's a place where seals go and give birth. And they said we're having a problem with people throwing the baby seals back into the sea. Right, and then we just don't know how to do this messaging. I mean, look, I mean, I grew up in the middle of the city, but I think even I know that you don't just chuck a seal into the sea. But what I've done is I've been inspired by the government's clear, straightforward messaging to create my own campaign for this, so that when the summer comes around, we know what to do. So I've made a poster here. It says, so throw the seal, don't throw the seal, do what you feel. Yeah, so that's it, inspired by Boris's great messaging. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, that's great. It's not easy, is it? It's not easy being at home. I've got kids. You've got, well, I don't know. It's not easy for any of us. I was full of enthusiasm in the first lockdown. I thought, yeah, homeschooling, let's do this. We can do this. I've always wanted to impart all my knowledge to the child, and now it's my chance. But you quickly run out of ideas, don't you? Everything becomes a teachable moment because you're just desperate. So you're like, yeah, right, let's make a cake. That's full of teachable moments. There's science, or the physics of cake, and maths. How much things do we have to put in the cake? And home economics, the cake, and PE, when you have to run off the cake. And I think my Zoom double chin gives away what a really good PE teacher I am. Yeah, we're doing fine. We're really fat, but we're very happy. Yeah, it's descended now into the big moment is, right, kids, how many litres of gin can we make for mummy in the bathtub? It's 80 litres, folks. It's 80 litres of gin. Let that be your teachable moment from me, from the wilds of Wivenhoe to you. So yeah, stay safe, Brightlingsea. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the pub again next year. And yeah, bye. That's me.
still on music. That was really incredibly sick, so I can start talking again now. So yeah, fantastic. Give it up for Jo Fletcher Cross. She was brilliant. So I was saying silently, I turn 50 later this year in October, so I'll get my vaccination. Woo-hoo. But I was starting to feel it all throughout my 40s. Basically, I started to realize as I got older that no man is ever going to look at me with desire again unless I'm holding a pie. And so lockdown has come in the nick of time for me, because all the clothes I was buying were things that were disguising the fact I was aging, you know, sort of as wrinkle cream, hair dye. And I thought I might as well just fling on a burqa, spray my crotch with Sillet Bang. And now we don't have to get dressed and we can wear masks when we go out. It's just ideal. But I have had a bit of a weird year because for some insane reason, and it sounds a bit of a humble brag, but it's not, I decided to go on BBC Mastermind, and they've had the first show. And I actually got through to the semi-final, which will be on in April, but don't watch it, it's really crap. But what I love is the selection process, because they give you a load of subjects that you're not allowed to use. And this is genuinely the case. It's based on shit topics that people have suggested. And the top of the list was my cat. So you're not allowed to actually do my cat as a subject. And when we were in the studio, because my surname is Humphreys with an E, and John Humphreys' surname obviously is very similar, he brought it up obviously to kind of quash those claims of nepotism. But he actually said that his original spelling was Humphreys with an E, and he dropped the E, so to speak, in order to make it more classy. And I said, well, maybe I should drop an E too, John. And nobody in the studio got it at all. So I have suggested that I do drugs with John Humphreys. On that note, maybe it's time for me to do some drugs now. But we have got our first exclusive comedy video coming up in a second. This is from the fantastic Ali Bell, also a local lady. And he has put together a fantastic set for us all to enjoy. And thank you so much, Ali, for doing this for the Winterfest. So please give it up, emojis, and please enjoy the fantastic Ali Bell.
Hi, I'm Ali, or Alison, if I'm really pissed off with you. So welcome to Comedy from My Sofa. Yes, it was from DFS. It's actually really hard doing it on the sofa, which is exactly what my husband said to me this morning. So like many of you, I've been at home now for around a year, haven't really gone out much, but I find myself feeling very fortunate because I'm not stuck with children. There's a couple of reasons I don't have children. One is I can't stand them. The second is I have a barren womb. That's never been medically diagnosed. I just base that fact on the basis I've been married 3 times and I've had plenty of cock. So the odds are really I should have had one by now if it was going to happen, but obviously that's not happened. But I feel very fortunate. I just really think that they're quite pointless. I was reading a news article probably about 6 months ago in the non-lockdown, after the lockdown, before this lockdown, and it was about a 12-year-old who had run a half marathon and finished a half marathon. So I'm reading it going, yeah, go on girl, good on you, rather you than me. And then it became apparent that she ran it by mistake. Now I don't even run up my stairs by mistake, and I can't comprehend how on earth anybody runs by mistake, let alone runs a marathon and finishes a marathon by mistake. Imagine being that poor girl's mother in a blind panic, and you see her kind of surrounded by runners, then you set off this rumour and this panic and get onto the police about your daughter being abducted by some weird running cult, because they exist. And I'm almost certain if I compare the brain capacity of a 12-year-old against the brain capacity of a plankton. A plankton probably has more brain logic to not run and join a half marathon under the ocean and finish it. So that genuinely just sums up the whole, just fucking weird. You wouldn't find any adult doing that, would you? But yeah, never had them, thankfully, and probably lucky for the society that I've never had them as well. I feel a bit like a Tibetan monk at the moment in this, but it's quite cold. But I have been married 3 times, as I mentioned at the beginning, and I do find that quite difficult. It's quite hard to kind of talk to people because nobody really understands that level of kind of incompetence and disrespect to my vows. So I do end up kind of listening to my sat nav for advice these days. Take the 4th, stay in the right now. In fact, my sat nav's kind of become like my mother in lots of senses. She's passed, but if she was going to come back, trust me, she'd come back as a know-it-all in car system that talks to me. So every day it's kind of like, make sure you check your surroundings before you play music. If you've got an Audi, you'll know this one. Winding down the window. You've left your mobile phone in the car. That's what Audis tell you if you've got one. And there's every now and again, my car is such a mess that I'll switch on the fans and it's in the crystal maze. Me and my mum, all this stuff, grabbing stuff, just blowing around. So it is genuinely like we're in the crystal maze and everyone else is locked in. On that note, have a lovely evening. Good night.
Give it up, I know Alex, so thank you so much, darling. Really appreciate it. Yes, I am actually audible this time too. We were blaming gin, but I'm actually blaming the red wine. So there you go. I did mention that I grew up in Liverpool earlier, and I had a bit of a difficult time growing up because Liverpool is still quite a religious city. It certainly was in the 70s when I was young, and I have quite an embarrassing syndrome in that every time I see a nun, I shit myself. I'm not so much a lapsed Catholic, more a prolapsed Catholic, but I never understood religion. I just didn't get it at all, especially the Bible, because I used to think if Jesus was such a top bloke, how come he can never remember his mates' names? Because it would say there in the Bible, and lo, there came Simon, who was called Peter. I spent years thinking that Jesus was really Trigger from Only Fools and Horses. I kept on expecting this mysterious 13th disciple to turn up, and amongst them was Rodney, who was known as Dave. So Ben mentioned earlier too about trying to lose weight, and I'm sure we put on some pounds in lockdown. I really noticed it. So I've started to make an effort now. I've got my exercise bike over there, and I tend to sort of watch violent films and cycle for my life. It's making a slight difference. I also have changed the way that I eat. So I like to do myself a nice crisp salad, and Iceland have got a deal on Skips and Monster Munch at the moment, so it's brilliant. But I do know not to eat sweets. I've known from an early age that sweets are bad for you, ever since my friend Barry broke his jaw on a Werther's original. It wasn't so much the hard toffee, just that his granddad had a massive cock. Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't meant for the WinterFest. I am so sorry. I have got a version of Tourette's. I'm more shocked than you to hear massive cock coming out of my mouth, basically. I don't know why I'm so rude, but I suspect it's because I was raised by my father, and to be honest, he was so sweary that the social worker wouldn't let him speak to me until after the 9 o'clock watershed. He raised me from when I was very little because my mum left when I was just a tiny baby. It's okay, I was too young to realise what was happening, but I do recall thinking, fuck me, this is the longest game of peekaboo that bitch has played with me. We do have another fantastic recorded set from a great act coming up. Now, his name's Dean Burnett. He's actually a neuroscientist, which and a best-selling neuroscientist, which is a bit awkward because I booked him thinking he was a new romantic. So I was expecting a tea towel over his shoulder and a furry shirt, but that's all gone to pot. But he's very, very funny. So please, can we start some clapping, emoticons, and please welcome to the screen. Thank you very much, Mr. Dean Burnett.
Hello, thank you for that introduction. I'm Dean Burnett, Dr. Dean Burnett, if you want to be official, the neuroscience author. Some of you know me. This event is all about mental health, charities and initiatives, and I thought it'd be good as a result of that to let you know all about some of the more particularly interesting and intriguing research and discoveries from the world of modern neuroscience as they're coming down the pipeline. And yeah, I mean, I know this is meant to be a comedy gig, but I figured it'd be better to play to my strengths, you know. I did used to do comedy, so I have done it. I spent a long time doing it, in fact. I performed a lot of different places, but only ever once. So that sort of tells you how it went. I think my main problem with the comedy was I like writing material. I'm a writer now, obviously, so that bears out. But I was never that good at actually delivering it, as you'll soon see. I was particularly weak with audience interaction. I always have been. It's a more general thing. I've just never been good at engaging with strangers. It's a problem for me because I'm relentlessly analytical. That's why I'm a scientist, I guess. To me, there's just too many options when it comes to interacting with people. You know, I'm okay with hello. I can do hello. You know where you are with hello, don't you? I mean, you say hello to someone, they say hello back. You're basically saying, you exist, so do you. I confirm that, and so do I. And that's good. You know, you can't really deny any of that. But that's when it gets awkward for me. You know, like there's just too many variables, too many options of where to go next, and it quickly becomes very awkward and weird. It happened last time I was on stage. That was the worst by some margin. That's why I gave up doing the comedy and stuff. So I stood there trying to make people laugh, and it wasn't going well. So I figured I'll try some, audience interaction, get them on side. That usually goes down well, doesn't it? It didn't go down well. There was a woman sat right in front of me, and she was wearing this big elaborate dress. So I figured she was okay with attention. I thought, well, if I could talk to someone, go for someone who presumably likes attention. So I looked at her, I said hello, and she said hello back, which is, I'm good with that. I'm okay there. So far, so good. But then I got confused, as I always do, and just stared at her, trying to think of something to say. But it turns out that's creepy, just going to a complete stranger. I'm sure you found that creepy just then. And so I realised I'm freaking her out. So I think to myself, say something nice to her, try and get her back on side. Trying to keep her happy. So I say, I like your hair. On paper, that would probably be fine. But I realised it's the pause between your and hair that was actually causing the problems. It's clear that she's thinking that pause was the result of me assessing all of her visible characteristics, finding none of them to my liking, and finally deciding that her hair was her least offensive attribute. And had I said that and thought that would have been awful. So she's right to be upset. So I figured I'd better explain myself. And I told her that it's not what she's thinking. The pause between your and hair wasn't me trying to find something nice to say about her, something worth complimenting. That pause was me stopping myself from saying nice breasts. It's not that she didn't have nice breasts, but her dress was low cut enough to display an impressive bust. And that's her right and her decision. But you don't just say it, do you? You don't just tell someone that. That's wrong. But of course, the problem is, via my explaining that I wouldn't say that, and I didn't want to say that, I had said it repeatedly, and in front of everyone, and that just made things worse, And at this point, she's really upset and freaked out, so much so that her husband starts having a go at me, says I'm ruining the wedding, which I felt was a bit rich. I didn't ask to be best man in the first place. It was his decision, not mine. Apparently, just because we've got the same parents, I'm supposed to like the guy. Who made up that rule? But, that's why I don't do comedy anymore. Clearly, it's not my thing. Just stick to writing stuff because I'm too analytical. It's just safer for everyone. This sort of thing I don't mind though. This is actually quite fun because there's a sort of a barrier there. It's a bit safer for me. Online events feel safer generally. It's sort of like the difference between a theory test and a practical test when you're driving. Although, speaking of, my analytical tendencies almost ruined my theory test too when I finally got my driving license. I was okay with it until the hazard perception test. Now, if you've never done a theory test, if you're not someone who's gotten into the whole car driving business yet, the theory test you do before your practical test, so they see if you can actually drive or not. They put you in front of a computer and then you answer questions and then you do a hazard perception test. The questions are fine, just like multiple choice, what the rules here, so on, so on. Hazard perception test, bit of a different thing for me, a bit of a challenge. Basically, it's a video, several videos filmed from a car's perspective, and you press a button whenever you see something which constitutes a hazard, so they know you're safe to drive on the road. The problem is, me and the DVLA, we differ on what constitutes a hazard. As I say, I'm a lot more thorough than they are. So case in point, the first video starts, and I'm like, okay, I'm in a car, presumably a petrol diesel engine, that emits CO2, leading to climate change. Climate change is a hazard, definitely, so that's one. The weather outside, it's sunny outside, sunshine, UV rays, skin cancer. Cancer's clearly a hazard, that's two. Driving by a field full of grass and sunshine, hay fever, obscure your eyesight, driving, very bad for that. Third hazard, quite clearly. Passing some pedestrians on the left-hand side there, looks like a mother and a small boy. Boy's wearing a baseball cap. Oh, some backwards, or he could be a ruffian. Maybe he'll grow up to be a mugger later in life, and he might attack me, and I'll be told to defend myself. He's a hazard, clearly. There's another one. Oncoming car, who's driving, I can't see, it's too far away. Maybe nobody's driving, maybe it's a self-driving car. In the early 2000s, the technology does not exist yet to accommodate such a thing. That's clearly a hazard. Well, speaking of, who's driving the car I'm in? It looks like it's me. I haven't got a license yet. Unlicensed driving on the road, I'm a hazard. So on and so on and so on. 15 minutes of videos, 878 hazards. It's a record, apparently. They let me retake it when I explained, although I heard them discussing it. One of them said, should we let him pass? And the one said, I'm not sure we should let him leave the building unattended. So, that's just how I'm wired, I guess. It has helped career-wise, in fairness. I'm a well-known scientist these days, which is probably quite good. And I spent many years working in neuroscience, psychiatry, mental health, thanks to my over-analytical tendencies. Although I don't tell people what I do very often, in person at least, because they seem to find it unsettling. A lot of the time, as soon as someone finds out I work in psychiatry and mental health, they become very worried that I'm going to diagnose them, which I'm not. Even if I were qualified to do so, which I'm not, I'm a neuroscientist, not a psychiatrist, and if it were possible to do so based on like 3 lines of conversation, diagnosing people is hard work. I'm off the clock if I'm just hanging around a pub or something, and nobody wants to work when they don't have to. And plus, just going around confidently telling people what's wrong with them based on a scant bit of conversation, that's not how psychiatry or psychology works. That's how Twitter works, but not psychiatry or psychology. But then sometimes people will object to me and what I do for more straightforward reasons. There's a bit of a play on words there. Because occasionally I meet a certain type of guy, you probably know the sort, and they'd be very wary of me. It turns out not because they were worried I'd diagnose them, it was because they were terrified that I'd tell them that they were gay. Because that's apparently my decision. I have that sort of authority, it turns out. Because you can be married to a woman for 40 years, have 7 kids, but if I see you drink a pint with your left hand more than once, sorry Clive, you're homosexual now. I've updated the official database. You'll receive your new license and introductory booklet within 5 working days. That is not how it works, as anyone knows. But I'm not even exaggerating there, really. Like, that actually is a thing that happened with me a few times. So I was at a party, and some friends' house, and like so loads of people that I didn't know. There were 2 guys, the sort I was talking about, who were having a very loud, drunken conversation in the middle of the room. And all about the antics they got up to. And then one of them got a bit too drunk and a bit too honest, shall we say. And he just nudges me and says, hey, remember that time on holiday when we were in the same bed and I was trying to have a wank and you were trying to have a wank, but you were just too drunk, so I did us both. Remember that? And then he laughed and then stopped laughing when he realised he was being stared at. He turned to me, because he'd heard what I did, and looked me right in the eye and said, it wasn't gay though. We're not gay. It wasn't gay. To which I just felt compelled to reply, yes, it was. You don't need judgment or disdain from me. It's totally fine. But you engaged in sexual activity with an individual of the same gender. That is textbook gay. Seriously, I've got the textbook. See, there it is. But it's like homophobia makes people weird, and it's always baffling to see. Another time I was out in a pub with some friends, back when that was the thing you could do. Remember that? Those are the days. And I mentioned meeting one of my wife's friends who happened to be gay. But as soon as I said I met a gay man recently, a complete stranger on the table next to us interjected. Classic barfly type, big red, ruddy face, permanent angry expression, drinking alone, the usual. When I said I met a gay man, he turned to me and said, "Oh, did you try and bum you?" Which took me by surprise. Not a question I get asked often, which is probably why I replied with, "Not that I noticed." Not that I noticed. Yeah, I mean, I've no direct experience with non-consensual male-on-male sexual activity, but I'm fairly confident it's not a stealthy process. But when I said no, the guy didn't try to bum me. This other guy's response was, "Oh, you were lucky." And at this point, I'm thinking, is he got mixed up between gay men and wasps? Because that's sort of more wasp behaviour that he's thinking of. But, he clearly got mixed up easily because he started ranting, saying things like, "Oh, you hate them gays coming over here taking our jobs." And unpack that. That'll take a while. And he ends with a classic point. He said, "If I had my way, I'd take all them gays and I'd sterilise a lot of them." I'm like, oh no. How are they going to manage? They'll have to adopt. I do wonder what happened to that guy. Or I did wonder. Imagine he's in jail now or in government, either or these days. And I've just realised that I've completely wasted my time for the talk I was going to give you. So I'm just going to have to power through it. Okay. That's great. That's looking good. Impressive stuff. It's all going well. Yeah. Oh, good. Yep. Could have been good. Yeah. Any questions? I guess. I'm really sorry about that. I'm for all my relentless analysis. My wife says I'm very bad at planning stuff, and she's right. I always forget to do.
Oh, thank you, Burnett. Nice one, Dean. Had me there. I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel 1,000,000% more intellectual after Dean's set too. I'm just going to have to watch 6 straight episodes of RuPaul's Drag Race just to drag myself back down so my brain isn't so heavy. There's a song that's been released. I don't know if anyone else watches Drag Race, so it's just me. I'm addicted to it. And they've done a song, an alternative Eurovision song, and the lyrics are "Bing Bang Bong, Ding Dang Dong, Sing Sang Song, UK Hun," and it is haunting my dreams. Basically, it's either going to win the next Eurovision Song Contest or it's going to be the next UK torture export. So either way, win-win. Just a few things. It is my 14th anniversary with my other half, Paul, who has been sort of like sloping backwards and forwards around me. So nice one, Paul. And I mean, I remember the day he moved in, mainly because men just gather such absolute tut around them, don't they? And he was like, "Honey, what's mine is yours." And I was like, "No, what's mine is mine. What's yours is Oxfam." So if we do ever get married, I will change the vows. I will promise to love, honor, and eBay his collection of Star Wars figurines. So, but now we're living together, and it's been about 6 years now. We've been together 14, but we were commuting, and now I miss all that quality time that we used to spend apart. And I used to argue with other boyfriends, but if he upsets me, I just do myself a nice, soothing, hot cup of chamomile tea and chuck it in his face. So I have to say that the acts who've been on so far have been fantastic. They've all been giving up their time in some way for you, and some performing live as well. So please give up for the acts, and please too, if you've enjoyed this, share the link with others and also donate to the PayPal. And it is time for our fabulous headline act. He is an utter legend. I first saw this guy perform at Cambridge Folk Festival back in the early 90s, and he was headlining, apart from the fact that after him, some people jumped over tables and injured themselves, which was literally very funny, but we can't afford that on Zoom at the moment. So, and then so later at the Edinburgh Festival, and he actually started off the free Fringe as well, enabling performers to actually affordably go and perform and entertain people. And he's absolutely brilliant, one of my heroes. So please, can we start the love, the emoticons, and give it up for the legend that is Peter Buckley Hill?
Sorry, Peter, we can't hear you. Excuse us 1 second, we've got a plug in your speaker cable. It sounds like you've got a cable loose.
All right, someone tell the audience.
Yeah,
All
we've
right.
got you.
1 2 1 2 1 2.
We've got you, Pete. Thank you.
Thank you. Am I audible?
You're audible.
I'm audible.
Action.
Okay. Well, after that extremely false start, hello everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean absolutely everybody, because since I cannot see who is tuned in, I choose to assume that all 7 billion people on the planet are in fact listening right at the moment. And so my hello everybody is that reaches absolutely as far as it can possibly reach. There are people being born right at this second, and I am the first person to say hello to them. So hello people being born, and hello everybody who has been born some time ago, and maybe we will manage to survive this without any further false starts. But I know there are lots of joining in bits in what I do, and you can choose not to join in them, and you can choose to join in them, and if you do join in, your neighbours will wonder what is going on, rather like that scenario. So, opening number 1. Oh! I dumped my girlfriend Lorraine, 'cause she was always borrowing my glasses. Why couldn't she get a pair of her own? I bumped into fewer things, now I'm alone. I can see clearly now Lorraine has gone. And that is my opening number. I wrote it 20 years ago. Man and boy, just stood me in extremely good stead, which is just as well, because the rest of it might indeed be rubbish. But if you join in the joining in bits, it won't be. Oh, I've written this song about foreplay, and this is how long it lasts, which is a kind of a thing, because I mean Hazel, whom I've known for many years, Hazel has dragged me out of retirement to do this gig, and I'm honoured to be dragged out of retirement. But once it is over, I shall be going back home. Well, I am at home, but I'm back into a non-gig mode. Really back home, and I shall be back to enjoying my lifestyle of pipe and slippers. Smoking crack and spanking rent, boys. It's really quite enjoyable. I hope that wasn't a violation of the watershed. I don't think we've got a watershed on this one. But seeing as we are mentioning watersheds and seeing as how I have absolutely no set list for this, what you get is what suddenly occurs into my mind. This is a song entitled It May Be Garfunkel, but Is It Art? Oh! Edward Woodward's woodshed is not a very good shed, but Woodward's woodshed's good enough for Edward Woodward's wood. He's put in central heating, but that was self-defeating, because Woodward's got good wood. This shed, but the shed itself is shite. Now you may be wondering, is there a second shed verse? Well, obviously there is, otherwise I would have stopped playing, wouldn't I? Think about it. You're normally much more perceptive in Brightlingsea. Second shed verse. David Rentoul's tool shed is really quite a cool shed, but won't be tied the fool who fools with David Rentoul's tools. They're long and hard and shiny, but not for your vagina. Yes, David Rentoul's tool's all cool, but the shed is mediocre. Any advance on two shed verses? Oh, I think so. Beatrix Potter's potting shed was an absolutely rotten shed. She'd potter around the potting shed, but the shed had got to pot. If Beatrix and Harry were to fall in love and marry, you'd have to boss in the rotten potting shed, one dead, the other fictional. I worked quite hard on that verse. For Keith Waterhouse's watershed is a metaphor, not a sort of shed. You can't put water in a watershed, no matter how waterproof. If Waterhouse's daughter could have built a shed from water, then that would have been a watershed in building materials technology. Or possibly an igloo. Just near the Heath in Hampstead, there used to be a tram shed, and then they pulled the tram tracks up and now the tram shed's dead. If they'd have kept the tram tracks, they could have brought the trams back. But the Hampstead tram shed tram track's dead, and try saying that when you're pissed. Which is, those are 5 shed verses. These are as many shed verses as you can possibly devise, unless somebody will come up with a 6th shed verse possibility, in which case I shall plagiarise it and incorporate it into the future, because let's face it, you have to indulge me, I do not have that much longer upon the earth. I mean, normally I can look out at the audience, and I'm still doing it in my mind, all 7 billion of you. Oh, there's another one, look, and another one. Yeah. Anyway, all of you, all 7 billion of you, I look out and I normally say that among all this vast audience, I am the only one who can remember their last shag. And quite often people look strange at that and say, no, surely, no, I too remember this. And I say, no, no, you are wrong on this. What you remember is your latest shag. I, however, remember my last shag. It took place on my 60th birthday. And then I was unceremoniously dumped by my then girlfriend, not Lorraine, she was the one before that. No, she explained she had been wanting to do that for a long time, which is always what you want to hear, isn't it? But she knew that when you're 60, you get 2 wonderful compensations from the state. Firstly, you get your bus pass. Gets bus pass on camera. Well, I mean, actually, I live in London, so they don't give you a bus pass, they give you this, which is called a freedom pass. Freedom's just another word, there's nothing left to lose, so they give you your freedom pass, and naturally you lose it. And the other thing they give you on your 60th birthday to compensate you for being dumped is free prescriptions. I've been looking forward to that all my life. Free drugs. So when you get dumped, you can just tank up on antidepressants and ride the bus from Malden to Brightlingsea to ease your sorrow. That was an insert local place reference situation, in case you did not understand that. So anyway, well, that nothing to do with that. This one has a joining in bit. Ooh, yeah, well, the other ones had a joining in bit as well, but this one has a joining in bit that is not just it has vowels and consonants. Look at me turning into Carol Vorderman, or what's the other fascist they put in there now? Anyway, so do joining the joining in bit, and your neighbours will be astounded, and your voices will echo off the creek at Brightlingsea and go all the way round to Harwich. And people will wonder what you are doing it for, and you will say, I am doing it for mind. And this is a good thing. I've always been in favour of mind ever since I first entered out upon the roads, and people would shout at me, mind! They would shout, and they've done so ever since, and therefore it is very, very dear to my heart and kidneys, and nothing to do with this song. So please join in the joining in bit. It's a song of the 1960s, which is my home planet. In the 60s, I used to live in a squat, but I got cramp. So, oh, when I'm on the dole and I've got nothing better to do, I save some money by tunneling into the zoo. I like the animals, they give me urges, but every time I tunnel in, guess where the tunnel emerges? This is your line. Under the aardvark, out of the rain, under the aardvark. I've gone and done it again, under the aardvark. There's a song to be sung, under the aardvark. When you're covered in dung, under the aardvark. Aardvark. In the dark you hear the happy sound of the carousel. Whee! In the aardvark's cage, all you're conscious of is the smell. Under the aardvark, knee deep in shit, on a blanket with my babe, I prefer not to sit. Your bit under the aardvark. Every Saturday night, under the aardvark. It's not a pretty sight, under the aardvark. I prefer a shit, under the aardvark. Well, it helps you to sleep, under the aardvark. Aardvark. Splendid, splendid, splendid. And now, where are the poets of Wivenhoe? Or possibly Wivenhoe. I'm never sure. I've been there and I don't know how to pronounce it. It's and because everybody else is on mute, nobody can tell me. So, Wivenhoe, Wivenhoe, whatever you are, there are poets, I know. I have seen them, and I would therefore like to play tribute. Play tribute? No, you don't play tribute. Unless this is some game that I've never heard of, I hope it... no, I would like to pay tribute to the oldest joke in the English language, which also forms a natural haiku. My dog has no nose. How does he smell? Terrible. That is a haiku. But it is only a haiku if you say that is a haiku at the end. Otherwise, it isn't. Now you can do all sorts of things. With that, you can turn anything into haikus. You can turn the entirety of the Ring Cycle by Wagner into a haiku. Rheingold nicked, makes ring, hero slays dragon, gets girl, both die, ring thrown back. That saved you 17.5 hours of opera. However, that is not what I was intending to talk about. What I was intending to talk about was indeed the oldest joke in the English language, and I have written a song in tribute to it. Woo! They say in various places, with, let's face it, with 7 billion watching, someone must be saying, "Oh!" At the moment, Hazel, I know, is saying "ooh," because I can see her on the screen. I can't see anybody else apart from the other actor, as if they didn't matter. Hello, other actor. I'm just digging myself into a hole here. I had better sing the song had I not dedicated to the oldest joke in the English language. My dog has no nose, no eyes, no teeth, no tail, no liver, no kidneys, no spleen, no pancreas. I wonder if I've even got any dog at all. My dog has no ego, no id, no superego, no consciousness, no soul, no projection of itself into a spiritual dimension. I've got an imaginary dog, but I believe. When you believe, then the things that you believe in are true. My imaginary dog will now do a trick for you. Wasn't that amazing? My dog has no nose. How does he smell? Probably not particularly well. In fact, you could say he smells caramel, but then you would be sharing my illusion. My dog has no evidence that he exists, apart from the universe that's said to be his. If you believe in dog, then you believe in this. But my dog has no one who really knows. He's got no nose, only conjectures and bits of faith. My dog has faith, but there's no nose upon his face. Oh, and there is the emotional literacy that all the women want to hear in the they do, honestly. That is the one thing they demand of you on Guardian Soulmates, which is now defunct. I joined Guardian Soulmates many years ago, and people ask me, why did I join Guardian Soulmates? And the answer is simply because there is no such site as Guardian Shagmates. But they demand emotional literacy, and I don't know what that is. I think it means tell me what I want without me telling you what that is first. And I fail at that one all the way, completely. And now I am not worthy to roll home the dung of the dung beetle. Yes, so if the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy had been posted to any other company, the whole history of World War II would be massively different. That is all I have to say on the subject of Boogie Woogie Bugle. Apart from, how did the existing Bugle Boy of Company B take it when they suddenly put in a replacement Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy over his head. Well, how did the company commander react? Yes, sir. I request a change of bugle boy, sir. Lieutenant, why are you requesting this move at this moment in time, sir? This new boogie bugle boy plays 8 to the bar, sir. And what was the achievement of the previous bugle boy, Lieutenant? 7.3 on average. This goes absolutely nowhere apart from in the depths of the boogie woogie. Yes, I should be finishing on a jolly song, should I not? Yeah, because since I had to rush here from my position watching to my position playing, which is a different position, and then had to go back and plug in the microphone, which appeared not to be plugged in. I am completely lost for time. Does this matter? Probably not a lot, so we shall do one jolly song. Perhaps not a jolly song, a song dedicated for once to me and anybody else who finds themselves into this position, so please give generously to Mind, but do not give to Mind the Gap, which is a completely different charity, and because we are the real IRA and we have Mind the Gap. We are the surreal IRA and we have put a fish in the gap. That is something I wrote 20 years ago. It's not in date anymore. And this song pretty much proves why I am talking about. Anyway, have a jolly good time. Thank you for being here, all 7 billion of you, or as many of you as are still there, and here we go. Oh, this is your last chance on the O's, so remember there will be no more O's after this. Oh, I want geriatric sex, but not with Jerry Halliwell, nor with Jerry Springer. Neither he nor I is gay, and that is just as well, but I'd much rather shag him than Jerry Falwell. I want geriatric love, with hugs and kisses, lots more hugs and nuzzles. With your wrinkles next to mine, they will surely intertwine and lock us into place like jigsaw puzzles. So love will keep us together, but the Fire Brigade will prize us apart. I want geriatric sex. It's much better sex than happens in your prime. Your partner will not lose attraction with the Alzheimer's reaction, cause you'll think it's someone different every time. And so will she. And so will you. And so will she. And so will... What are all these people doing in my living room? Oh, I remember this one. Good evening and welcome to the show. Pause you to Hazel. Thank you very much. I've been Peter Buckley Hill. Support Mind.
Fantastic, legendary Peter Buckley Hill. Whoa! You have just been touched by greatness, all 7 billion of you, obviously. That is the end of tonight's comedy extravaganza supporting Mind and local mental health support initiatives. And thank you so much for everybody who's tuned in and given us comments. There's too many to name. So the Wivenhoe Massive, you know who you are. Sue Carroll, who did a sad face and then apologised because she hit the wrong emoji. Bless you, Sue, you're a sweetheart. All that remains to do is to thank all the people who made tonight so very special. Firstly, Jevon, the technical wizard who has brought all this together on Zoom. Literally brilliant stuff. I call him a wizard because he looks like a wizard. He looks like he knows that Michael Moorcock is not just a polite sort of request. And also thanks to Alex and to Mike from the Winterfest team. They've done a brilliant job. They put on so many shows over the last month, and they do this every year to sort of cheer you up and to support people with mental health problems as well too. So good on them. And finally, to all our acts who gave up their time to take part and support this. So first of all, you saw Ben Harrington. Keep it up, emojis, get them going. Then you saw Joe Fletcher Cross. Again, keep it going, keep it going. Then Ali Bell, Dean Burnett, and finally, not lastly but not leastly, the fabulous Peter Buckley Hill. Thank you so much. I can't wait until we can do, proper gigs again where we can actually touch each other and lick each other's faces. It will be wonderful. But in the meantime, if you can share this link, share all the other shows that the Winterfest have put on, and also obviously if you can donate to the PayPal account as well, that will all be split between Mind and local mental health support. So thank you very much. That is the end of tonight. So good night and thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Well done, Hazel.
Thanks, Hazel. Well done.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you
and thank you to everybody.
I'm wondering if this is still going live or not. So a little pause, but thank you very much. Thanks for organising, guys. Thanks, oh God, so much for the acts doing it live as well, because it is so hard.
Yeah, difficult.
You can feel that sort of you're doing things much faster than you should be, and it's just harder, isn't it? So I can't wait to proper gigs. And
it came across really well, though. I know it must be really hard to
Welcome to Winterfest, the music and arts festival where we're banishing the winter blues. Proceeds from the festival go to the WinterFest Wellbeing Fund, supporting local people and Mid and Northeast Essex Mind. Featuring 22 events. Check our website, Brightlingsea WinterFest.co.uk for full details. And please, make a donation via our PayPal link.